Chapter 101, Battling a 4th-grade martial artist. Boom. The air exploded. The silver-black translucent fist carrying 150,000 catties of strength collided with Shi Zibang's split eagle claw imprint. Bam. The two forces clashed head-on, producing a dull sound that echoed in the corridor. Shi Zibang, who was filled with killing intent, felt his right hand go numb and lost all feeling thereafter. Then, intense pain spread from his arm and entered his brain, making his face twitch and his body tremble. At the same time, he heard the cracking sounds of bones breaking. Ta, ta, ta. Shi Zibang, who couldn't stop himself from repeatedly stepping back, saw a bloody mist wrapping around his upper body when he sobered up in shock. The bloody mist came from his right arm. At this moment, his right arm was completely fractured. His bones were broken. His entire arm was like a lump of dough that had just been fermented, and it rested limply on his shoulder. Swoosh. The saber beam appeared out of thin air. With lightning speed, Su Jingxing took out his treasured weapon and hacked swiftly at the terrified Shi Zibang. 40 years of true energy cultivation. Human origin of the 3 origins saber art. Upwind single slash. Sweeping river army slash. Ascending dragon overlord slash. Swish, swish, swish. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The blade glint tore through the air along with the rush of wind. Similarly, the silvery black blade energy came one after another, overlapping as they bombarded Shi Zibang's body. First, they shattered Shi Zibang's protective true energy, then tore apart Shi Zibang's special protective clothing, a semi-treasure training suit. In the end, Shi Zibang's head and upper body were split into 2, blood splattered everywhere. Fast and powerful. Shi Zibang, who was in the 5th grade, did not even have time to use his trump card before he was sent to meet his ancestors. The corridor was silent. Su Jingxing, who had sheathed his saber, extracted a card. He stood still and listened carefully for a moment. After making sure that no one was coming towards him, he relaxed a little. I think I was too heavy-handed. Su Jingxing looked down at the 2 halves of Shi Zibang's body and muttered to himself. His internal organs were scattered all over the ground and blood had splattered everywhere. It would be a waste of time to clean up. After thinking for a while, Su Jingxing gave up on cleaning and went to the next residence of the next target. As long as he was fast enough, he did not fear the corpse being discovered. So. Swoosh. The blade flashed, the head of another Shi family higher up was chopped off before he could react. Su Jingxing extracted a card, turned around, and went straight to the next person. There were clear locations in his mind and he did not waste a second on moving around. The next target were the sacrificial soldiers who were nurtured from young like Nirencho. Su Jingxing maintained advanced hearing's ability of picking up everything within a 100-meter radius. He locked onto a sacrificial soldier who heard the knock on the door and was stepping out vigilantly as he hid himself on the ceiling. The sacrificial soldier stuck his head out of the door and looked around. He did not see anyone. Suddenly, in the split second he became alert. Swoosh. Saber light suddenly appeared. Su Jingxing held the treasure saber in his hand and dropped from above the sacrificial saber. The saber slid past the man's face and sliced off half of it. This was the result of the sacrificial soldier dodging after being alerted. He did not manage to avoid it completely. Before he could scream, Su Jingxing, who was still in midair, swung his saber diagonally and slashed at his neck. Plkch. A spurt of blood shot out, hitting the door and the walls on both sides. The head that was missing half its face detached from its body and fell to the ground with 2 dull thuds. After extracting a card, Su Jingxing did not stop and rushed to another room 10 meters away. The person living in this neighboring room beside him was also a sacrificial soldier of the Shi family. He was in the 6th grade. Very alert. Su Jingxing had just gotten rid of his target when he rushed out of the room quickly and vigilantly. The moment he opened the door. Swish, swish, swish. Su Jingxing, who had flown over, slashed 3 times in quick succession. The opponent only let out a furious roar before his entire body was split into 2. But it was also because of this roar that the people living in the rooms in this entire corridor were alarmed. Instantly, within Su Jingxing's hearing range, a series of messy footsteps sounded. Accompanied by calls and shouts, guards and sacrificial soldiers rushed out of the rooms. What awaited them? Swish, swish, swish. The sound of rapid echoed. Su Jingxing released 3 treasure-throwing daggers that were wrapped in true energy. They quickly tore through the air. Bang, bang, bang. One after another, the guards had their heads penetrated and shattered on the spot. PLKCH. 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 One after another, the hearts or necks of the sacrificial soldiers were sliced past or penetrated by throwing daggers. Hoo hoo hoo. Swish, swish, swish. Blood blossomed, corpses shook. Su Jingxing controlled the 3 throwing daggers from a distance. They flew at high speed, weaving through the crowd. Accompanied by numerous shrieks, blood sprayed out. None of the guards and sacrificial soldiers could escape the dance of the throwing daggers. By the time the last sacrificial soldier collapsed, the corridor was already flooded in blood. Su Jingxing, who had retracted his throwing daggers, caught his breath as he walked among the corpses and extracted cards. Extraction for all corpses was completed. Su Jingxing also stopped panting. He stood in the pile of corpses and looked at an old man with fiery red hair who had suddenly appeared dozens of meters away. Paw, paw, paw. The old man clapped his hands and looked at Su Jingxing up and down with interest. He grinned and said, "Good, good, very good. Your throwing daggers skills are impressive. If I'm not wrong, it should be the heavy dagger series, right?" The heavy dagger, as its name suggested, was a dagger technique that dominated with weight and strength. Given the features of colossal divine dagger could indeed be categorized as part of the heavy dagger series. Su Jingxing also recognized the old man. Tang Wulin. A guardian of the Shi family, the strongest existence in this secret base, a 4th-grade expert. Su Jingxing had secretly killed the others in order to save Tang Wulin for last. Even though there were still quite a few people that hadn't been taken care of yet, there weren't many left. It wouldn't be too late to finish off Tang Wulin first. Facing a 4th-grade cultivator, Su Jingxing focused all of his attention and circulated the heaven-trampling true energy entirely in his dantian. Swish, swish, swish. The 3 treasure-throwing daggers flew out again. Haha, does this mean that you do not wish to have a chat with me? Tang Wulin laughed out loud. Amidst his laughter, 2 crescent-curved blades flew out from the back of his head to meet the throwing daggers. Bang, bang, bang. Dang, dang, dang. The 2 handleless curved blades and the 3 throwing daggers collided violently in the corridor. The sparks that shot out were dazzling. The blade energy they released sliced through the ground and walls, leaving behind inches of marks. The corpses on the ground became even more broken and bits splattered everywhere. The 2 of them were exchanging blows using hidden weapons in the air. Tang Wulin stood with a smile on his face, and Su Jingxing didn't move at all. While he operated the true energy, he took out the 2 true energy cards with 7 and 8 years of cultivation that he had stored away. He unlocked them close to his palm to replenish his dantian. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Su Jingxing split his attention to circulate the 9 steps trampling heaven to convert the attributeless true energy into heaven trampling true energy. In less than half a minute, Su Jingxing had successfully recovered to his peak state. Opposite him, Tang Wulin narrowed his eyes. He had sensed that something was off with Su Jingxing. 2 handleless curved blades against 3 flying daggers. In a situation where the mastery of hidden weapons were similar, the person controlling the throwing daggers would undoubtedly consume more energy. However, the true energy fluctuations coming from Su Jingxing's body did not decrease. Instead, they were becoming stronger. What was going on? Interesting. Tang Wulin chuckled and controlled the handleless curved blades to continue fighting while walking towards Su Jing. Old thing, you can't hold back anymore. Su Jingxing also sneered and walked to meet him. Bang, bang, bang. Dang, dang, dang. The range of collision between the 2 curved blades and the 3 treasure-throwing daggers became smaller and smaller as the 2 of them got closer. Intel. Boom. When he was only 2 meters away from Su Jingxing, Tang Wulin suddenly struck out with his palm. A fiery red palm print tore through the air like a ferocious tiger, roaring as it pounced towards Su Jingxing. 100 steps raining fist. Su Jingxing mobilized his true energy cultivation of 60 years and punched out. The silvery black translucent fist carried a weight of 400,000 catties as it fiercely collided with the fiery red palm. Boom. There was a deafening bang. Terrifying energy burst forth with a shockwave, causing the air to become extremely chaotic. Apart from destroying the 2 handleless curved blades and the 3 treasure-throwing daggers, it stirred up a raging wave in the corridor. Everywhere it passed, the ground and walls were pressured by a heavy force, causing cracks to appear. The corpses on the ground also became more and more broken, none of them were complete. At the center of the energy, neither Su Jingxing nor Tang Wulin took a step back. However, compared to the composed Su Jingxing, Tang Wulin's expression was a little ugly. We are equally matched. They were equally matched in terms of mastery of hidden weapons and martial arts. In terms of true energy cultivation, they were also equally matched. However, in terms of true energy reserves, Tang Wulin lost. Each of them knew themselves. Tang Wulin could clearly sense that the true energy fluctuations on Su Jingxing's body had not weakened at all. He was still in his peak state. In contrast, he had already used up a third of his true energy. I can't go on like this. A cold glint flashed across Tang Wulin's eyes. His expression was no longer as confident and carefree as before. He no longer dared to underestimate Su Jingxing. I have to end this quickly. Since he had expended too much energy, he would end the battle as quickly as possible. Bang! Bang! Tang Wulin gave up on his curved blades and went all out. His body shifted and changed his position at lightning speed to attack Su Jingxing. A battle of speed. Su Jingxing chuckled and also gave up on his throwing daggers. He activated the 8 steps rising dragon at full force. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The sound of rushing wind instantly filled the corridor. Tang Wulin executed his evasive maneuvers to the extreme that he could not even see his after images. Su Jingxing was also agile and graceful, his figure similarly invisible. Compared to the 100 steps raining fist, he had a better mastery of the 8 steps rising dragon. He had reached the peak of perfection. Had Tang Wulin's lightness skill reached this level? No. So. Bang, 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 boom. Accompanied by the intense collision of true energy, the flame true energy and heaven trampling true energy were continuously neutralized. Tang Wulin and Su Jingxing, one in the front and one behind, passed through 3 corridors at lightning speed and arrived in a hall. Tang Wulin, who was wrapped in flame true energy, was abruptly struck by an attack. His figure appeared and he was sent flying backward, crashing into the metal wall. Blood spurted out of his mouth. Ah! Blood splattered all over Tang Wulin's face and upper body. With another heavy thud, his entire body smashed into the metal wall, creating a dent. Tang Wulin spat out another mouthful of blood all over the ground as he fell to his knees. Swoosh! Take his life while he's down. Su Jingxing circulated 30 years of cultivation of heaven trampling true energy and channeled it into his treasure weapon and slashed at Tang Wulin. Ah! Tang Wulin, who was half kneeling, sensed danger and suddenly raised his head to let out a roar. The solidified sound waves twisted and spun in the air, forming a spiral shock wave that crashed into the silvery black blade energy. The two collided. Boom, boom, boom. A deafening explosion echoed through the hall. Wherever the shockwave passed, everything in the hall was shattered into pieces. The silvery black blade energy lasted for less than 2 seconds before it was turned into internal force and destroyed the ground and walls. And because the range was too large, the longer it stretched, the more areas it covered. By the time Su Jingxing sensed it and swung his blade again, he was already a step too late. His entire body was sent flying backward by the terrifying shockwave. With a series of loud bangs, he crashed through 3 brick walls. His protective true energy vanished. His cloak, clothes, and mask were torn apart before he finally landed into the ruins. Secret ability. Tang Wulin had mastered such a terrifying sound secret ability. The lethality of this high-frequency sound wave was truly frightening. If an ordinary person were to encounter it, they would be torn into pieces on the spot and reduced to lumps of flesh. The martial artists in the lower ranks similarly would not be able to take and would die from the shock. Those in the middle ranks would rely on their protective true energy to barely hold on. Those who were lucky could survive. For example, if Su Jingxing's physical body wasn't at the limits of the human body, he wouldn't have died from the impact, but he wouldn't have been able to move either. Even so, the blood and qi in his entire body was extremely restless at this moment. His limbs were numb while his heart was pounding madly, and it was on the verge of popping out from his throat. Amazing. Compared to his true energy cultivation and martial arts attainments, this secret ability of Tang Wulin was his trump card. Su Jingxing took out a bunch of strength pills and stuffed them into his mouth, quickly recovering his strength and suppressing his blood and qi. Su Jingxing stood up from the ruins and wiped his face, only to discover that half of his human skin mask had been destroyed. Fortunately, Su Jingxing had cut off all the surveillance cameras previously. He glanced at the camera in the corner and sneered coldly. He was no longer wearing a top. His upper body was bare and he was wearing a pair of custom-made elastic pants at the bottom. Su Jingxing had specially bought these elastic pants for the sake of transforming into the demonic elephant physique. He had put 5 of them in his palm space. Correspondingly, there were also a dozen cloaks, clothes, and masks. Tang Wulin's voice secret ability was so powerful that Su Jingxing decided not to wear them for the time being. He walked towards the hall step by step and picked up his fallen treasure saber halfway. How is this possible? In the hall, Tang Wulin's face was as pale as a sheet of white paper. He was obviously in a weak state. He watched Su Jingxing walk towards him in disbelief. He knew his trump card best. The earlier strike had sapped most of his true energy and stamina. In the instant it burst out, even if Su Jingxing didn't die, he should be severely injured and rendered immobile. But now, he could still walk. What did he rely on? His physical body. Yes, a powerful physical body could withstand a portion of the impact. Tang Wulin would never have thought that other than being a 4th-grade expert who had outstanding true energy cultivation, martial arts attainments and lightness skills, he was also a body-tempering martial artist with a powerful physical body. Over there, quick, quick. Everyone, follow. Messy footsteps sounded. While Tang Wulin was still in shock, the remaining people in the base came dashing over from the 4 corridors at the front, back and sides of the hall. Leading them was a middle-aged man. Su Jingxing, whose blood and qi had been completely suppressed and his limbs more or less recovered, glanced at him from afar and recognized him. Shi Jinzhou, Shi Yangfeng's father, a 6th-grade martial artist. As for the others, they were basically guards with assault rifles in their hands. Swoosh. Ignoring Shi Jinzhou and company, Su Jingxing raised his saber and charged towards Tang Wulin. Compared to Shi Jinzhou, Tang Wulin was the biggest threat. Damn it! Tang Wulin's pupils contracted, and his body tensed up. He hurriedly rolled about on the ground, and then he scrambled to his feet in a sorry state, fleeing towards the left passage where Shi Jinzhou's group had come from. Having run out of true energy with his stamina soon to follow, he didn't dare to fight Su Jingxing head-on. He wanted to escape, but Su Jingxing wouldn't allow that. Human origin. Upwind single slash. Sweeping river army slash. Ascending dragon overlord slash. Swish, swish, swish. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Saber winds howled and blade energy tore through the air. The silvery black blade energy came wave after wave, stacking upon the previous. Every strike hit the fleeing Tang Wulin. PLKCH. 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 Blood spurted out from Tang Wulin's body. First, his arms were separated from his body, then his legs were severed, and then his body was split into 5 pieces. Finally, his head was thrown into the air. Just like that, as he ran, his entire body was slowly dismembered. His head flew out, smashing towards Shi Jinzhou who was running towards him. Dong! A dull thud echoed through the tunnel. Shi Jinzhou took a few steps back and waved his hand to stop the people behind him. He looked at Tang Wulin's corpse on the ground in shock and then lifted his head to look at Su Jingxing, who was at the end of the corridor. His legs could not stop trembling. Fire! Fire! Everyone, fire! Shi Jinzhou roared with a trembling voice. Da! 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 Bang bang bang! Su Jingxing was surrounded by bullets. Sparks flew everywhere. However, Shi Jinzhou was expecting too much, hoping to deal with him using guns. Swoosh! Swoosh! Stepping on the 8 steps rising dragon, Su Jingxing held his treasure saber in his hand as he flashed left and right. As he dodged nimbly, he covered a distance of tens of meters in the blink of an eye. Together with his saber, he charged into Shi Jinzhou's group. Immediately. Ah! 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 PLKCH! 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 The blade was snarling, the blade energy was roaring. Accompanied by a series of miserable cries, the team led by Shi Jinzhou was dead within 10 seconds. Broken limbs were strewn all over the ground. Among them, the 6th-grade Shi Jinzhou held out the longest, 5 seconds. Su Jingxing had relied solely on his physical strength to deal with Shi Jinzhou. Coupled with the 3 Origin Saber Art Human Origin volume, he had forcefully cut through Shi Jinzhou's protective true energy before splitting him in half. He was done here. Swoosh. Su Jingxing, who had extracted many cards, quickly turned around and returned to the hall, rushing towards the other firing teams. The blade was still snarling and the blade energy was still roaring. Su Jingxing stepped on 8 steps rising dragon. As he dodged nimbly and gracefully, he killed everyone with his blade. One card after another was extracted. With the death of these men that Shi Jinzhou had come with, all the guards in the base were finally taken care of. Under the barrage of bullets, Su Jingxing, who had been shot a few times, did not even have a scratch on his skin. Only a few white spots were left behind, but there were quite a lot of blood stains on him. He took out a piece of clothing from his palm space and wiped himself. At the same time, he took off the remaining half of his human skin mask and threw it away. After that, Su Jingxing put on his clothes, cloak, and mask. Then, he headed straight for the cells. Ah! Ah! Don't kill me, don't kill me. As soon as they entered the cell, high-pitched screams could be heard from all directions. The girls that the Shi family had captured from all over the world were all in cages, screaming non-stop. They were huddled in the corners in fear, not daring to look out of the cages. Su Jingxing didn't release them immediately either. He walked past the cages one by one, his eyes searching for Jiyu Duoduo's figure. After walking past 10 cages, he finally spotted the little girl. The 5-year-old was currently in the arms of a young girl, curled up in a corner, and both of them were trembling non-stop. It's good that she's alive. Su Jingxing thought to himself and let out a sigh of relief. However, he didn't release them immediately. Instead, he returned outside. First, he went to pick up his 3 throwing daggers, then, he went to the warehouse and collected a few buckets of corpse-dissolving liquid. Carrying the corpse-dissolving liquid, he walked around the base and poured it onto the corpses of the people he had killed, turning them into pools of liquid. A strong pungent smell filled the base. Su Jingxing turned on the ventilators as he walked. Finally, he returned to the cell and opened the cages. Everyone, come out. There were no soft and gentle words. Su Jingxing lowered his voice and shouted at the people hiding in the cages, if you won't come out, you'll die immediately. Ah, ah. The screams continued. Without needing Su Jingxing to urge them again, everyone quickly came out of the metal cages and consciously lined up in a line. They had their heads lowered and kept trembling. Su Jingxing didn't comfort them. He drove them out of the cell, through the corridors, and out of the base. During the entire process, screams could be heard from over 100 people, young and old. But slowly, the screams lessened, and the cries of surprise continued. Although they couldn't completely believe it, it was obvious that they were leaving the base safely. They realized that they might have been rescued. Some even asked Su Jingxing boldly. Su Jingxing ignored them and only roughly ordered them to walk in the quiet morning forest. Every single base of the Shi family had people delivering supplies, equipment, and detailed intelligence every day. If he did not bring them away quickly, they would definitely encounter those men of the Shi family who were of different strengths. Those in the lower ranks were fine, but if they were in the middle ranks, Su Jingxing wouldn't be able to spare the attention to take care of Jiyu Duoduo and the others. This was also the reason why he did not speak a single gentle word from beginning to end. Time was of the essence. There was a small farm town just 2 mountains away from Turtleback Mountain. Su Jingxing's final mission was to escort this group of more than 100 people to the borders of the town. On the mountain roads, a group of women who were frightened day and night and severely exhausted. One could imagine the speed at which they were advancing. In order to save time, Su Jingxing had no choice but to forcefully feed everyone an essence energy pill each. After eating, they finally sped up significantly. Supporting one another, the older ones carrying the young ones, the group of people staggered over 2 mountains and entered the outermost fields of the farm town. Here. Su Jingxing stopped and told everyone to continue moving forward. He then executed 8 steps rising dragon and soared into the sky. In the air, he destroyed an unoccupied house with one punch, causing a commotion and attracting the farm's attention. Then, he rode the wind, leaving behind a dragon-shaped trail amidst everyone's cries and thanks, disappearing into the horizon. Back at his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. After washing up and changing into clean clothes, Su Jingxing took out all the cards he had extracted. Let me see what I've gained this time. Thanks for listening. The story continues shortly. This was read to you by Erebus.